From 2014, what is the cost of free speech? 18C has not curbed Hizb Ut-Tahir, but has prosecuted Andrew Bolt for good journalism. Yet some say we need 18C to do exactly what it has failed to do. And yet speech is not free for normal people. It has become a rule for bigots opposing reason. But the most egregious abuse of 18C from the point of view of the conservative voice is that the refusal to report on newsworthy items by the mainstream press, which have not required freedom of speech legislation. They just choose to report only what they feel protects their narrative. Hamidur Rahman is dead from such abuse, and his blood is on their hands too. We need free speech, but 18C is only an impediment. We don't have free speech even without 18C. Oakes attacks hockey. Apparently, Oakes feels that is the best way to prosecute an ALP agenda, and it has nothing to do with current issues. Hockey was right to say Shorten can't support liberal security policy if he refuses to allow the government the funds to pay for it. Meanwhile, Shorten claims today there would never be a carbon tax under a government he leads. But even after the change of Senate, ALP clung to the tax to the bitter end, even when Rudd claimed to have ended it. Shorten promises a carbon trade which would replace a carbon tax and function like one. Mr. Abbott has to protect and foster the economy. ALP are holding up $28 billion in savings. The constipated air warriors are not effective without ground forces. Obama has made the wrong call and many people are dying because of it. The Algerian migrant Ben Brika is converting others to jihadism from jail. There are many such examples around the world. Ben Brika's sentence is pathetically short for his crime, which put him there. Probably just as Pistorius's one will be too. In the interest of free speech, I include some of the correspondence received from yesterday's post. From Australian Political Debate Open Forum, Otto Miller. Antarctic ice mass is decreasing despite thin sea covering a larger area. Suggest checking the scientific facts before taking words of an unqualified blogger. peopletocampaign.org. David Daniel Ball, I suggest you look at the references before embarrassing yourself by spreading lies. Otto Miller, if you have scientific evidence that ice mass is increasing or staying the same, then please present it. In the meantime, new from NASA this week, and 2014-09 GOCE reveals gravity dip ice. GOCE reveals gravity dip from ice loss. Although not designed to map changes in Earth's gravity, phys.org. David Daniel Ball, although not designed. Anyway, one of your glorious leaders has the increase was as expected. Otto Meller, glorious leaders? One of the highly qualified scientists? Yes, sea ice may well be widely spread, but it is much thinner and formed from the lower salinity sea water. The salinity in the Antarctic is dropping due to increased ice from the land entering the ocean. And as I've said twice, the total mass of ice has decreased. But if evidence is not your thing, I won't trouble you with any more of it. Bruce Wayne. Otto, put those facts away. They ruin the rhetoric. David Daniel Ball. Which is the fact, Brew? The scientists contradicting themselves proudly, the observations based on materials not designed for it, or the measurements you don't want to believe? Robert Hayes. Negatory according to ICESat. What's up with that? ICESat data shows mass. To paraphrase Brew, Robert, put those facts away. They ruin the rhetoric. ICESat data shows mass gains of Antarctic ice sheet exceed losses. The result of ICESat measurements are in for Antarctica. What's up with that.com? Bruce Wayne. Did you read the links, David? Bruce Wayne. Robert, you're linking Anthony Watts again. Robert Hayes. Who's linking to a peer paper? Robert Hayes. Are you not the least bit skeptical, Brew, of record southern sea ice and the prescribed warming causes ice counterintuitive claim? Is the dog ate it also a plausible explanation? Bruce Wayne. While the interior of East Antarctica is gaining land ice overall, Antarctica has been losing land ice at an accelerating rate. Antarctica sea ice is growing despite a strongly warming southern ocean. Is Antarctica losing or gaining ice? While the interior of East Antarctica is gaining in land ice, overall Antarctica is losing land ice at an accelerating from skepticalscience.com. Jules Lees, David Daniel Ball, your silence is pretty weak, Chief. Robert Hayes, are you doing this to me because I linked Watts? That's not a fair trade. Bruce Wayne, that links to more papers which put perspective on the land ice, and it's important to relate the Arctic losses. Robert Hayes, et al. Bruce Wayne, yes it is. Robert Hayes, Hardcrut says no warming. Robert Hayes, RSS for slightly different lats showing the same thing. Otto Mellar, no warming, and the mechanism for ice moving off the continent is... Robert Hayes, is the snowfall just meant to mound there year after year? Bruce Wayne, Hardcrut, for instance, has a cool bias. And skepticalscience.com, first look at Hardcrut 4 HTML. First look at Hardcrut 4. The UK Met Office Hadley Centre has just released Hardcrut 4, which is an update to Hardcrut 3, which from skepticalscience.com. Bruce Wayne, cherry picking is a wonderful thing. Robert Hayes, how is that cherry picking? At least you don't have a cool bias, Bruce Wayne, because look at my graph, same sources, clear warming, isn't there? Otto Meller, and so you are really convinced that the gravity measurer did not measure a gravity reduction? Care to back up that claim with evidence? Robert Hayes, go on to link to GISTEMP. Their record goes all the way to 11. David Daniel Ball, my silence, Jules? I just post the facts. Jules Lees, 23 posts since your last one. Lots of questions and evidence that proves you are wrong or have not explained something correctly. Going to address them? David Daniel Ball, I've looked and no point seems extant. Care to list them for me? You might be the better reader. And from the Bolt Report supporters group, Sandra Maiden, what a load of old horse feathers. David Daniel Ball, all the statements are backed up by articles. Feel free to challenge them if you work out what it is that you disagree with. Paul Corrigan, work out? Anyone? Bob Lawson, you're a blogger, David Daniel Ball. Your facts don't even tally with the statement the other day from the federal weather people saying that an enormous chunk of Antarctic ice has recently broken off and is slowly heading north. Please, mate, before you put this nonsense in print, at least try to refute the weather science first. While some modeling, I think, is the worst possible scenario, there is no doubt that the Earth's climate is warming and greenhouse gases, not just CO2 that are man-made, are the major cause. Bob Lawson, before you challenge me on academic grounds, David Daniel Ball, I have 3 degrees, one in biology, another in industrial chemistry, and a third master's degree in medicine. So I know what I'm talking about, whereas you obviously don't. David Daniel Ball, Bob, the reason for the large chunk breaking off because there's so much ice, the weight can't support it. Bob Lawson, your understanding of physics is as flawed as your climate change skeptic blog, mate. Here are the facts, mate. The strength of frozen H2O is reliant on temperature and temperature only. The warmer it gets, the less ordered and therefore the less cohesive the water molecules become. The ice event I quoted has been completely stable for all of recorded history, mate. Now all of a sudden it isn't. This has nothing to do with weight, Daniel, just temperature. There you go, you have just learned some first-year uni physics. David Daniel Ball, lots of laughs, and yet the AGW alarmist I quoted admitted it was building up and claimed the models predicted that. Argue with them. Bob Lawson, you can find any loony to go back up any point of view. The ice chunk that broke off is as big as some European countries. No, I choose to argue with you and your know-nothing and do-nothing blog. My science is based on the properties of physics, David Daniel Ball. They're not open to spin or selective interpretation by you or any other ratbag climate change skeptic. Thank God you people are in ever-decreasing minority. David Daniel Ball, dream on, Bob. No, nothing. David Daniel Ball, thing is, that guy you call loony is one of yours, but a leader of yours, and credentials that exceed your first-year science. I'm not arguing my observations. Were I to do so, I'd point out that the weather guy, who is AGW alarmist, is also on average 10 degrees off every single night, always predicting more than I experience. Just an observation.